porn stashes and high spots, what we got tonight in AEW.
What up, Marks?
As AEW Dynamite review of reaction, let's get right into this interesting episode of AEW Dynamite, the precursor to next week's Road Rager live in Miami. As they hit the road, AEW starts traveling again. The first match of tonight was Eddie Kingston and Penta, El Cero Miedo, taking on the Young Bucks in a tag team like eliminator match, but they're taking on the tag team champs rather than the number one ranked tag team, the Varsity Blondes.
Yep.
Okay, so none of that makes any sense, but never do the rankings ever have made sense or ever will make sense. Now, you already know what you're going to get out of this match. A lot of big spots, a lot of crazy maneuvers, and, you know, the Young Bucks cheating, trying to get the win like they have been for the past, 2 months. It's just nothing but, heel tactics and trying to cheat to win and get these wins out with Brandon Cutler with the freeze spray. He would eventually hit that on Matt Jackson, and stupidly enough, just stay there. He knows he's hitting Matt, but he's just holding it like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm hitting Matt.
Amy Jericho's like, just stop pressing the button, damn it.
Yeah. And then you have Frankie Kazarian, the Elite Hunter, because, I don't know, he doesn't have a match against any of them really, but he just kind of chases them down and fights them off. The Good Brothers were out there. In the end, Kingston and Penta get the win, so they're going to face the AEW Tag Team Champions at next week at Road Rager. So they're not the number one contenders, but they didn't face the number one contenders to become the number one contenders, but they're not ranked as the number one. Who the hell knows? But that's the first match tonight.
Yeah, it was a fun match. Again, spot fest. That's what the Bucks do. It was good. It had fun spots. Cutler thing was kind of dumb, but whatever. It was fun. I like the porn mustaches. I like the Travis Scott ones. All that stuff was cool. But yeah, just again, we have the rankings, we have the whole setup thing, we have this whole thing that we're gonna run by the rankings. We're gonna be like the UFC. We're gonna be, even the UFC doesn't really follow the rules all that much, but they follow it more to a T than AEW. We're just making stuff up as we go. It was what it was. It was the way to start off the show. It was a spot fest. It just is what it is. It's AEW. We're just here for the crazy spots, basically. It was all right.
Yeah, and these are the first porn stashes we saw of the night from the Bucks. Yes. We will see them later on from another member of the Elite. But the next thing on the show was Ethan Page in the interview. He's having his interview in the ring with Tony Schiavone. He's obviously having the issues with Darby Allin. He's going to have a coffin match sooner rather than later. We thought it was supposed to be next week or the week after, but after what happened here, you have, Papa Sting come out carrying, dragging a coffin. In the end, Darby's inside the coffin. He comes out. They beat down Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. You have Darby Allin trying to rip out the eyes, gouge the eyes with these long nails that he has.
The Scorpion drop! A Scorpion death drop by Sting! And Darby Allin digging his... He's got fingernails on there! He's digging those...
Of Ethan Page, and then this causes Ethan Page to kind of be like, okay, you're trying to get me less than 100% for a match, so if I'll challenge you again to a coffin match, but you can't touch me the week prior before the match. I guess they just felt like, oh, we can't fit this on the show, so let's kind of prolong it another week.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. I like how they did the Undertaker casket thing coming out of the casket. Okay, we've seen that for 30 years, but okay, we that's what we're doing. It's a casket match. It is what it is. But yeah, I thought that was weird with the whole eye gouging thing. I mean, like you said, just we don't have room for next week, so we'll just put it in later. It's just that's basically what it was. It was a kind of wait to have it on again.
Yeah, and then we have next after this the future big thing in professional wrestling. Obviously, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He's taking on Jack Evans. Week after him losing to Kenny Omega in that title match, so he's just trying to get a win under his belt. And the whole thing built around this is obviously the Money Matt family, the Money family, the Matt Hardy family. What the hell they're called? Hardy Family Office. I'm sorry, that's what they're called. It's a stupid ass name, but he's sending Jack Evans out to just beat him down. Obviously, he's Jungle Boy's been getting the glowing endorsement from Christian Cage. So this is built around that, and obviously the fact that Jungle Boy's become the first guy in AEW to get 50 wins in total over the course of their career in AEW. So it's a big milestone. I do like that aspect that they're keeping track of stuff like that, because it applies to real world sports where they have these milestones that people hit, individuals hit, and stuff like that. So that's a good thing. Shout out to AEW for that. But in the end, he is the first person to get 50 wins in AEW. Jungle Boy gets the win here, and you have the big brawl at the end with the 25-year feud between Christian Cage and Matt Hardy. They start brawling in the ring. You have Jack Evans brawling too. And that's what we're going to get. We're eventually going to get Christian Cage versus Matt Hardy in some type of match. Probably a ladder match.
Yeah, I mean, good segment. It was a fun match. him versus Chris Cage, we'll see how that whole thing all works out. But yeah, I mean, they're building Jungle Jack Perry as like the next kind of what they're building as a homegrown talent and making him like a star going forward. And we've been talking about it for like over a year. He's gotten his spots. Now he's dating Anna Jay. Good for him. So yeah, the kid's got a bright future. He's a star. It's written all over him. I think they're kind of moving away from the Jurassic. Whatever they call it,
Jurassic Express.
Express. I think they're gonna move that away from him and kind of build him more as a solo star. I think it's a smart thing to do. I think it's sooner rather than later they need to push that.
Now the problem with this is like you have Jungle Boy at a high point taking on the champion, taking the champion to his limits, and he kind of just drops down to this. But it is what it is. I mean, it's a way of getting Jungle Boy out there, having these big matches, him performing big. So
he's had those moments.
Yeah, so you plant the seeds for him being you plant the seeds for him being the next big thing. That's what he's gonna be. It is. Once he gets like some more muscle on his frame, fills himself out, probably drops the Jungle Boy moniker, maybe just goes by Jungle Jack Perry or something like that. The Jungle Boy isn't marketable enough for like a mainstream type of thing because it sounds goofy.
Or not a top guy. Not a tippity top guy can't be a dinosaur. Like he needs to get away from that, find a new kind of gimmick, kind of new style, come back as something a little more mainstream and more something that you can really see him with a title. Right now, as Jungle Boy Jack, you can't really see him as coming out on top of a dinosaur. It just doesn't make any sense right now to be a top champion going against the likes of, I don't know, a Moxley or Cody or whatever, or Kenny. Just it doesn't really. Not believable.
Yeah, to be taken seriously as a guy who's going to hold the company on his back, it's not there with the gimmick, and he's got to fill out a bit more. But the guy's living the dream, if you know what I mean. So the next thing here is Andrade El Idolo coming out. Remember, he came out Saturday, was interrupted. Then he comes out here, and Alex Abrahantes is the one interviewing him, which Abrahantes is like the guy where it's like, what's up with this dude? He's like Penta's guy. He comes out, he's all like acting a fool now, and then he's out here looking like a cornball with the way he was dressed. Then, he talks about Matt Sydal, and Andrade says he's going to have his debut match in AEW next week against Matt Sydal, which isn't like something to write home about, but it could be a really good matchup. I'm not saying it's going to live up to like Gargano Andrade from NXT TakeOver, but maybe to that, like somewhere in that vein that it could be, similar to that, but not obviously to the level of that. But we're going to get that going forward, so it's good to see him out there. We'll see what his big announcement is. Some people are saying it's Lena Vega, but we'll see what happens, what ends up being his announcement. Exactly. Now the next thing on the show is Kenny Omega. He comes out, and obviously it's another promo with Tony Schiavone, who doesn't ask you really any questions. Like one question, Tony Schiavone just disappears. So it's not really like an interview segment. So he comes out, he's talking about he's gonna take some time off because he's beating everybody. Then Dark Order comes out. You know what's coming next. Dark Order comes out in full effect. They're talking about a guy that they got that they know that they befriended, who's number one contender again for the title.
Who does?
We sure do.
I think someone that we have befriended
in the rankings, and they're talking about alluding to Hangman Page, and obviously he doesn't come out, which I think is kind of a miss. I think they could have got a big pop and some excitement behind Kenny Omega right now if Adam Hangman Page would at least come out, maybe not just got into his face, but kind of came out, and because he gets mad at the Dark Order after this about like, why would you do that? Why you kind of doing that for me? They could have done something like that, but with Kenny actually being there in person, you kind of get a little hype behind it. This is kind of like, okay, these guys are trying to vouch for him, but where the hell is Hangman? So.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like the idea for a while. Like there was the most natural kind of storyline and book. It was him versus Hangman Page. They got the history. This is where it needed to always kind of end up. I mean, is Kenny going to drop a belt? I don't know. He's got 17 belts. Maybe he doesn't need the AEW championship, but I don't know. We'll see. But him versus Hangman is where it needed to be, where I felt like it needed to be a couple months ago, to tell you the truth. I think we were talking about it a few months ago where I just felt like Hangman needed to be more in the picture than he was. But they've come to it. I think that needs to happen. I think it just makes the most sense. This is where it needed to come. It's happening. It's gonna happen. And I want Hangman to win. I just don't know if they're ready to kill the whole Mr. 18 belts. It's just like it's just something interesting for them to push on. But I do like the Fu Manchu Mustangs in the elite right now. I'm feeling it. I'm kind of tempted to do one.
Yeah. So this is the second of the porn look that we got from and this is from Kenny Omega coming out now. They have all out this August, so they might be trying
September,
to.
I think it is
August, early September, so maybe trying to kind of outshine SummerSlam, maybe by having Hangman versus Kenny at that point, and Hangman gets crowned as the new champion. You could see that going forward.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I would like it. I'm not loving Hangman right now with the Dark Order.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not really hitting for me. It's more of like a jokey thing, and like even like their whole segment with Colt Cabana, like you're not scared of Kenny. You're scared of failure. Like, come on, man. Like,
no, I hope
I like that when he's more of a solo guy, just drinking beers and whiskey.
I hope they don't go back to that point where he was all like depressed and like sad the whole time, like after the Kenny thing. I hope they don't go back to that. Hopefully, get more serious. Ass kicking Hangman Page. The next thing on the show was Brian Pillman Jr. taking on Miro for the TNT Championship. Obviously, this quick feud that they put together, and then you would see here that the Varsity Blondes are the number one contenders, the number one in the rankings, but they have nothing to do with tag team championships whatsoever. Yeah. So we get this match right here. Miro defeats Pillman, and that's pretty much it. I mean, this is the guy we should have seen from the start in AEW. Instead of the whole Kip Sabian, he's got rid of the best man moniker. That's gone. He is aggressive, vicious, rude, nasty, what he needed to be at the beginning, from the start. Yeah. Similar to how he was as Rusev, just nasty heel, not playing the foreigner gimmick so much, but just here, nasty, vicious, and it's good stuff. So this is what we should have seen from the beginning. Now Miro's starting to hit his stride. Hopefully it's not something where he loses the title, out of nowhere, and then he kind of disappears for a little bit, so.
Yeah, I mean, this was more Brian Pillman Jr. getting a little taste of like a big time match for a title, being in like a semi-main kind of feel. That was his first kind of jumping in the pool there. So that's good for him because again, he's still young. He still has plenty of future left, and he's more of a tag team as it is right now. But this is the way Miro, Rusev always should have been booked. Ever since he came out on that tank at WrestleMania in San Francisco, this is what he should have been, just a complete badass. This is what he is. He's a monster. He does a great job, and he's grown to this monster powerhouse, kind of like a pseudo Brock Lesnar. Not gonna say he's Brock, but you know what I'm saying, like he's that kind of freakish big guy that can move well. So yeah, that's just great how they booked him. They should have never came in with the whole best friend thing, like, or best man crap. That never worked. That was always trash from the get-go. I'm sorry, but it was. But good on him and good on AEW to still move past that and have built a guy that's believable as a monster, because he just is a monster, and you're seeing more personality from him and more of that Rusev that we see, that we always saw little glimpses of around, but now that we're seeing it fully. So it's good. I'm excited for Rusev, and man, give him another year. I think he could be AEW champ. I think that's where he's trajecting towards.
Yeah, so I would say like obviously other than Kenny Omega, except that he's the AEW champion, there's three guys that seem to be in the running for that next title holder or one of the next title holders. It's obviously Hangman Page, MJF, and Miro being one of those guys. Yeah. That's exactly what it seems like. Now, who takes the belt off of Miro to get him to that AEW championship? Is he the first guy to hold two belts? Could be pretty interesting if he's the first guy to hold two belts.
He could be the Ultimate Warrior.
So something like that. Could be cool stuff, but we'll see how Miro goes going forward. This is obviously good stuff for Miro. Finally in AEW, he's thriving in the role he's in. Now, the next thing on the show was absolute disaster. Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel taking on Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. A match that makes no sense as to why it's happening, and it didn't need to happen. The less Rebel gets in the ring, the less Vicky Guerrero gets in the ring, the better. Unfortunately, though, in this match, you would have Rebel seem to get injured pretty severely. Her knee. Remember, she was on crutches before. Seems like she'll be on again. She got hurt. Seems like she got hurt really bad in the knee. She actually got assistance from Nyla Rose to get to the rope to get out, and she crawled out extremely slow. Now, interesting thing here, you have Baker and Rebel getting the win. Baker put the lockjaw on Vicky Guerrero, and she would no-sell it completely after the match was over. So she would tap out and then no-sell any type of, like, if the move actually hurt afterwards. So obviously she's not a wrestler or whatever, but
she doesn't know.
Pretty interesting if you notice that, like, she just kind of no-sold it after the bell rang. So, but after this, you would have Nyla Rose powerbomb, Britt Baker from the apron through a table. So the match sucked. This whole thing kind of sucks. The whole way it's set up, the setup of this whole thing kind of sucked with the hamburger thing and stuff like that. Not good stuff. It's not a good feud for Baker to start out her title run.
No, I thought this was terrible from the get-go. It made no sense. You could just have anything but this, or it was really bad. I can't even think of anything else he could have done, but just like, it was just so terrible, and just not. The match sucked. Her getting hurt sucked. Everything just like. No one. It was so bad. It just didn't need to happen. That's really poor booking. We were so excited. She was so hot coming out with the belt. The crowd was all about it. Everyone was loving it. The belt looked better on her than it's looked at anybody else in the women's division. Because that little tiny little toy belt they have for the women. But yeah, this was just not good. This was not good booking. They should have never done this. There's no reason why Vicky, who's probably like in her 50s, should be in the ring. She was a wrestler anyway. Just a complete disaster. Moving on.
Yeah. Now another thing, a side note, what we're gonna get is eventually, I don't remember when he said it was gonna happen, maybe in a couple weeks. It's gonna be at the Austin show when they go live in Austin I think somewhere in July, in the beginning of July. Yeah. It's gonna be Ricky Starks against Brian Cage for that FTW title. So that FTW title will finally be on the line. Maybe it'll be a way to get rid of the title completely, but that's on a completely side note.
I can't believe that's still there.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing they showed was the main event: Sammy Guevara versus MJF. One of the most anticipated matches in AEW in short history. It's been a match that people wanted to see, and they've been building towards for a while with the whole Inner Circle and now the Pinnacle stuff. So it's been building for a while. Now, in terms of a match, it's crazy, cool match. It's fun, obviously, because they're doing a bunch of big spots. Now do you get into that point where you're kind of like, did they do too much? Which AEW is just known for doing too much all the time. Anyways, they do a million moves, and then in the end, something kind of not as exciting as the other moves you saw wins the match. You had this crazy dive from Sammy Guevara in this match. Nuts. He came out there like he's just like he shot out of a cannon.
What's he gonna do? Great job. Super Sammy. It's all the way across. Super Sammy going Super Saiyan over
and into the crowd. But in the end, you have Shawn Spears coming out and giving like a chair. They do these chair shots where like WWE doesn't do them whatsoever. They do everything to the back and everything to the lower body. They do head shots, but like obviously they get their hands up. It's kind of a gray area there, right? You understand the difference between unprotected and that one, but they're actually doing these type of chair shots, but it's just the hands up. So it's kind of a gray area when it comes to this whole concussion stuff. But they do it, and in the end, MJF gets the win. Obviously, leading. The messed up part about this is such an anticipated match, but it feels like it's just all leading to MJF Jericho.
Yeah, this was kind of like just like the middleman to going to Jericho versus MJF. That's kind of where it's going. My biggest thing was like with the spots. Like there was a tombstone pile driver off a top rope that probably should have ended the match right there. There was a couple of crazy spots that both guys did. And then you just have this little smosh finish where, all these amazing moves happen and no one gets pinned. And then you have Jericho get involved, Wardlow get involved, Shawn Spears, the chairman, gets involved, hits him over the head. I get him with the chair. I understand this. But after so many moves that didn't count for a 3, the chair shot ends the match. It's just like, I don't know. You can say that, I guess, the wear and tear of the match beat him. But just like, come on, man! You got these amazing moves. You could have ended it on any of these amazing moves, but you ended up with the cheap chair shot. That's what wins it. It takes away from all the crazy spots. It takes away from everything the guys did in the ring. It makes everything basically meaningless. Like all those ridiculous bumps they took were completely meaningless because of the damn chair shot is what ended the match. That's where it aggravates me. I guess I'm old school. I guess I'm just like an old man, a boomer, whatever you want to call me, but like I just don't enjoy that. Like it took away from all the craziness they were doing. I don't mind the spots, but have a big spot win the match if you're gonna do all these spots and then the quick little chair shot wins the match. It just takes away from the entire thing and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. That's what I gotta say about that. I just didn't enjoy the ending at all.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wanted to like kind of build the moves,
into the biggest thing,
and the crescendo at the end. Like that's the crescendo is this move at the end that kind of ends it and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but that's AEW is known for that. I mean, look at the first match of the night tag team. It's just a bunch of crazy moves all over the place, and nobody beats anybody doing any of them. And then it's kind of just like something else that happens. So remember, when you do a match afterwards, people tend to only really remember one spot and then probably the finish. So in this match, they come out. I remember the big spot, the dive on the outside, and then the way it ended. So I mean, it's just it is what it is. It's a different style.
There was a tombstone pile driver off a top rope. Like hello, like that move was. Taker's been doing that for 30 years, and that was like the end of the match. And this is like we're doing off the top rope, and it's like 1, 2, 3. The guy looks crippled, and this guy messed up his knee. It's just I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm just an old man. I'm in my 30s. I guess that's where it's at. But damn, I don't know. That really left a bad taste in my mouth at the end. I know Jim Ross was just like biting his lips so hard.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff from AEW, but it was pretty much all set up right here for Road Rage. That's their big show next week. Obviously, they're going live. They went live this week, but live on tour, going around on the road. So that's
the
a big
traveling
thing.
circus is back, baby.
Yeah, that's what they built this whole show up to, just set the table for that and their future road shows after that. But guys, that's our AEW review and reaction to tonight's episode of Dynamite. Make sure you drop a like on this video, hit the chair in the corner for hits your first, hopefully a protected chair shot, and sub to this channel. Make sure you tune in Friday for Friday Night SmackDown, review and reaction from there. And I got a couple other things in the works that hopefully are coming out in the next couple weeks. Make sure you check out that Best in the Hell in the Cell video. And yeah, if it doesn't work here, bro, not do the job.